Boy, oh boy, it was a hot one here in the Northeast with temperatures up in the high 90s and dew points in the high 70s. It felt like it was 100 plus degrees outside. If you were out in the sun today, if you're at, no matter if you were at New Hampshire Motor Speedway or if you were, at the beach, hopefully you wore plenty of sunscreen and hopefully you drank a lot of water because I'm sure you were cooking out there. A lot of racetracks in the area canceled their events for the entire weekend due to the heat because Sunday's actually supposed to be as bad as it was today. So, God forbid at the racetrack if someone gets heat stroke or someone passes out because they're dehydrated, that can go on the racetrack. The racetrack can get in some trouble for that. So, and it also give the opportunity for people to go down to the beach, go to the pool, or just sit and relax in the air conditioning instead of sitting in hot grandstands or sitting behind the wheel of a hot race car. But the men and women of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour were not fazed by the heat, and they ran their 9th race of the 2019 season this afternoon at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Despite the heat, there was a great crowd turnout, and the best modified drivers in the country made sure to give them a show. Over the 100 laps, we saw a lot of drafting and great passing. However, I was extremely disappointed in the way NASCAR ended the event. I will get into that a little bit later on in the discussion. But for now, let's just dive right into what happened during this afternoon's Eastern Propane and Oil 100. We'll quickly touch on the morning qualifying session. John McKennedy put the ultra wheel Tommy Baldwin owned 7NY on the pole. This was the first career pole for the driver out of Chelmsford, Massachusetts. Justin Bonsignor qualified the Phoenix Communications. Ken Massa owned number 51 in second. Yesterday's winner of the Whelen All-Star Shootout in a 3-wide photo finish. If you didn't see that was a heck of a race. Patrick Emmerling ended up winning that race. He qualified third for the event today. Points leader Doug Coby qualified the Mayhew Tools number 2 and 7th. And Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers Ryan Newman and Ryan Preece, who's a former champion of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, qualified 15th and 19th respectively. Once the green flag flew, McKennedy jumped out to the lead, and Ontario, New York's Tommy Catalano, last year's Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, gained a couple spots in the first couple laps and went from 4th to 2nd. But it didn't take long for the first caution to come out. Todd Cooper, occasional NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series driver Brian Dozit, Jacob Perry, and Walter Sutcliffe all tangled up towards the back of the pack on lap number 3. Perry and Sutcliffe were not able to continue. Dozit and Cooper were able to, but they were several laps down. On the restart, a couple laps after the restart, Catalano was able to wheel the red number 54 past McKennedy for the lead on lap 12. But as that happened, the second yellow of the afternoon came out for the winner at Wall Stadium earlier this year. And I was at Wall Stadium, and that was a crazy race. But Woody Pitkat won that race. He brought out the caution after he spun in turn number 3 and backed the number 82 Danny Watts' own machine into the wall. This was unfortunate for Catalano because in the Modified Tour, they go back to the last completed lap. So McKennedy was put back in front of him. But after the restart, it didn't take too long for the young Catalano to grab the lead back as he blew by the 7NY on lap 17. The next caution of the afternoon came out for Andover, New Jersey's Calvin Carroll. He spun in turn number 2. During that, everybody except Ryan Newman came down pit road for fuel. They were saving their tires for later on, but the Mike Curbone, number 77, stayed out on the track. Doug Coby took the lead from Newman on the restart on lap 27, but another yellow came out for Rookie of the Year contender Timmy Catalano. He spun in turn number 3. Andrew Mahler, another rookie, crashed into the wall trying to avoid the number 45 of Catalano. On the restart, Justin Bonsignor was able to take the lead away from Coby, but another yellow came out for Woody Pitkat, who was just having a terrible day, and very unfortunate for him. A couple guys in the back of the pack were banging off each other, and Pitkat got the worst end of that deal. He got sent hard into the front stretch. He climbed out of his car, was okay, but he was obviously frustrated. It was a rough day for him. On the lap 40 restart, Coby was able to take the lead, but Bonsignor got caught in the sucker hole and went from 2nd to 7th. Now, if you've maybe never seen a modified race at New Hampshire, for the modifieds, this place is like Daytona and Talladega for them. So if you pull out a line and nobody goes with you, you're just going backwards, and you're going backwards pretty fast. Colby got hooked up with Patrick Emmerling shortly after that on that restart, and they started scooting away from the pack. McKennedy, Bobby Santos, who was filling in for the injured Dave Sapienza. If you don't know, Dave Sapienza was injured in a crash at Wall Stadium on the final lap earlier this year, where he made contact with Timmy Catalano. They both spun down the track, and he hit the inside wall very hard. I think he suffered some sort of back injury. But Bobby Santos was doing a great job for him. He did a great job in yesterday's Whelen All-Star Shootout, and he looked real strong in the race today. So him, McKennedy, and Catalano got organized finally after they were dicing for the positions, and they started catching him. At the halfway point, they caught up to him, and it became a 4-man race for the lead. But a couple laps later, the rest of the field started to become organized, single file, and get in the draft. And it went from a 4-man race to an 8-man race. Then the next yellow came out on lap 61 after J.B. Ford and Anthony Nocella got together in turn number 3. I really didn't understand why that happened. It looked like to me that Ford just ran him over, unless Nocella had a problem in front of him. I'm not really sure. But it just looked like, from me watching the race, he went into 3 and looked like he didn't lift and just ran him over. I don't know, though. But the entire field came down on pit road on lap 64 for tires. This was the money stop, as it was the final one, and this would either position you to win the race or it would really hurt you. But Tommy Catalano's family-owned team nailed the stop, and he won the race off of pit road over Eric Goodale and Emmerling. But unfortunately, the 54 had to come back down pit road before the restart to address an issue with the left rear. They had some sort of issue with the tire. I think they changed the left rear tire, so that was very unfortunate for Catalano. He was fast all race. He never recovered from that, so it was real disappointing for him. He positioned himself perfectly for the last about 30 laps of the event, but just some bad luck for him. This gave Eric Goodale the lead, and on the restart, he and Emmerling traded to the spot a couple of times until finally on lap 70, Goodale was able to clear him and hold on to it. But then a very unfortunate situation developed for Emmerling, as he got turned to the outside wall after contact with McKennedy. And it looked like to me what happened was he looked like he moved down to make a pass to fan out of line and make a move on Goodale for the lead. I think McKennedy tried to go with him, and he just caught him in the right rear and turned him into the wall. I don't think it was anything intentional on McKennedy's part, but Emmerling suffered suspension damage, and he would end up finishing 28th. But then after that, the intensity just started to really pick up over the last 20 laps or so. Goodale, Chase Dowling, McKennedy, Rob Summers, and Ron Silk seemed to just be content riding single file in the draft, clicking the laps off. But in the middle of the pack, the racing was crazy, 3 and 4 wide, with guys like Bonsignor, Catalano, Newman, and Ryan Preece making aggressive moves to set themselves up for the finish. Those are 4 very fast cars. 2 of them were up front battling for the lead earlier in the race. Newman was up there for a little bit. Ryan Preece just seemed to struggle, but that comes with him not running the modifieds full time. They were working with the car all race, and it just seemed like they weren't able to do anything right with it. But he started coming up towards the front. He started making some pretty good moves towards the end of that race, and he was setting himself up for the finish. But Brian Doza brought out yet another caution after he spun in turn 3. On the restart, Goodale led for about 2 laps, and then Ron Silk wheeled the purple number 85 by him, and he did a great job over the last 15 laps, holding off challenges from Colby, Dowling, and McKennedy. But it was setting up to be a great duel. The last 5 laps were just setting up to be an amazing race between Silk, Dowling, and Colby, until poor Bobby Santos, who was having a great run, was dumped by Justin Bonsignor. And poor Max Zackham, who was minding his own business all day, was collected in that mess, and that happened with 3 laps to go. I don't really understand what happened between Bonsignor and Santos. All I know is that I saw on Facebook what Dave Sapienza posted. He wasn't very happy. You should go, if you want to see what he said, you should go on his Facebook page. But it definitely sucks for Santos. That team, they had Burt Myers in the car. He ran real well at Thompson. And Santos looked like he was setting himself up for a solid run today, and unfortunately, he had contact with Bonson here. So, it's just disappointing for that team because they've been running well since Sapienza's been recovering from his injury. And Sapienza was even running pretty well before that. But, it was great to see that team still competing despite, missing their driver. This set up for a green-white checkered finish, and we were in store for another classic New Hampshire finish. If you didn't see the race yesterday, NASCAR and NBC posted on their Instagram, Facebook, all that. You probably should have seen it. It was a 3-wide photo finish between Patrick Emmerling, Kobe, and Santos. So we could have been in store for another great battle like that. Kobe was on the front row with Silk, and Silk just nailed the restart. He was well clear of Kobe coming into turn number 2. Then Tyler Ripkema crashed in turn 1 behind the leaders to bring out the final yellow of the race. And due to time restraints because of the NASCAR Xfinity race, and also they needed to make repairs to the safer barrier, NASCAR decided to checker the race and not do another restart, and this allowed Ron Silk to score second win of 2019, and he is second in the point standings right now, so it moves him just a little bit closer to Doug Kobe's lead. I think I read when I started filming this, I think he's like 28 or 38 points out of the lead, so he's still within striking distance. I'll put the results at the end of the video, but I'll run through the top 5 real quick. Doug Kobe came home second. Dowling has been running really well, and the Jamie Tomato number 99, he finished third. McKennedy finished fourth, and Matt Swanson had a great run today, picked up his first top 5 of the 2019 season. And now I'll get into why I said that I was disappointed in the way NASCAR ended the race. For one thing, it was extremely, extremely hot today, and despite that, there was a great crowd that was excited to not only see the modified race, but to see the Xfinity and the K&N race that was coming up afterwards. I understand that they needed to get ready for the Xfinity race, and they needed time to make repairs to the safer barrier after Ripkema had crashed. But, it's just, the modified guys put on a show for the fans. I've said this over and over again. The modifieds are the best division in NASCAR. If you don't believe me, go to your local short track on a Saturday night and watch your local modified guys, because those guys are like the ones you see running in NASCAR. They put on a show. It was shaping up to be an amazing finish before that caution, and it probably would have been an amazing finish with the best drivers, the best modified guys in the country piled up on top of each other for a 2-lap shootout. It probably would have been extremely chaotic, and it would have been something worth seeing for sure. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I just felt like due to the heat, they were sitting there baking in the sun. They should have deserved to see a finish under green. They should have been treated to that. But like I said, that wasn't the case. I'm disappointed, and I'm sure a lot of people are, because it's just it was shaping up to be a great race. But since every other track in the Northeast canceled, that's all I really have for you today. Be sure to comment what you thought of the race, and make sure to like the video and subscribe. I'll be doing weekly recaps of racing all across the Northeast. So until then, have a great week. Enjoy the Monster Energy Cup Series race tomorrow at New Hampshire, or if you're from up here and you're beating the heat, have fun at the beach, have fun at the pool, whatever you're doing. Just make sure you stay cool up here in the Northeast. So until then, I'll see you guys next week.